Alright, finna go ahead and get it started. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Life of a Champ podcast. We got a good topic for today. So if you're in the chat, make sure to go to let me know. For today's topic, episode 141, we're going to be discussing femininity, what all men want. Now, this is going to be a topic that I have discussed plenty of times on this podcast and probably something I will continue to do. But now we got a different experience right over here. So for the people who that do not know you, Jayden, make sure to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Jayden, always in the comments.
Yep, she always tapping in. You already know. Yeah, first thing I want to do is I need you to go ahead and sign my my board. So if you want to go ahead and do that. Appreciate it. And one thing I want to say as well, fellas, is if you're simping on the chat, I'm going to ban you. I'm going to permanently ban you if you're simping in the chat. No simping in the chat, please. But if you're in the chat, make sure you go and let me know. But yeah, we got some good stuff for you guys tonight. And like I said, it's nice to get another opinion for sure. Appreciate it. Can I simp for you instead of her? Man, of course, man. You already know, man. All right, so we're going to go and get it started, right? So for first thing I want to start with, and this is going to be kind of giving the structure to the podcast, we're going to be discussing women in general. We're going to be discussing masculine women and feminine women, and then we're going to get into the topic for today's podcast. So, give me a second. Like I said, if you guys have any questions regarding femininity, make sure you go and leave in the chat as well. All right, so I'll go ahead and I'll let you name some of the feminine qualities. What are some super feminine qualities that you see within women, whether that's within yourself or whether that's within other women that you've observed? What are the feminine qualities that you associate femininity with?
A feminine woman is someone who's submissive, she's caring, she's affectionate, she's very emotional. She doesn't sleep around. She doesn't have a lot of male partners.
Okay.
And she'd rather pursue a family and a marriage instead of a career.
Okay, that's very good. I would 100% agree with that. 100% agree with that for sure. And then we'll get into the masculine qualities. I'll go ahead and describe those. This is something that I've seen time and time again within women that I have interacted with, whether it's dating or whether it's just having casual conversations with. And this is exactly what men do not want. So the last qualities that she had mentioned are exactly what men want. Most men want in a relationship. Or just in an interaction in general. So the masculine qualities that men are trying to avoid, this is going to be the women who are argumentative, that are overly dominant or aggressive, that are ultra independent. And when I say ultra independent, I mean where they literally attach it to their identity. It is one of the silliest things that I think I've ever seen when interacting with a woman because like I said, it's just doing what you need to do as just a person in general. But to attach it to your identity, I think is just very, very goofy. I don't know if you've seen it. Where they're like, "Oh, I'm independent." Like, it's like they just talk a certain way. That's just what it is. What do you think about those women as far as like the ones who like claim their identity with or they resonate with independence?
I told you this the other day. I feel like they only say they're independent because they're trying to prove to themselves that they are, because they know they need help from a man.
Okay. All right, so getting back into it. So like I said, ultra independent, and they feel weak if they have to rely on a man, which is also it's an interesting as well, man. Along with this, you're gonna see a competitive nature within women as well, and I feel like there is a competitive element of femininity. That's what I will say as well, but it's just a different type of competitive nature. It's going to be competing against men, which men and women are not meant to compete. And the fact that women are even trying to compete with men in the first place is, like I had mentioned, very goofy in my opinion, for sure. So getting into the other points that are going to be defining masculine women, this is going to be neglecting self-care so they can become successful. This, like I said, this is going to be more career-oriented women, and like she had mentioned. And then getting into that, they're going to be on the pursuit of men and also pursuing multiple men without getting emotionally attached during sex. That's going to be another element of a woman that truly is masculine, is a woman who can go ahead and sleep around and is able to detach emotions from sex, which I do believe is an essential part of what creates a quality woman. No woman or no man wants to marry a woman who's not attached, who doesn't get attached during sex. No, 'cause here's the thing: if she's able to detach emotions from sex, then she can have unlimited amount of partners at that point, right? And obviously that's not conducive to a relationship, a long-term relationship, especially a marriage as well. But getting into it, I want to ask you a few questions because I do believe to getting your take. By the way, I want to give you guys some background, right? I met Jayden. It was October of last year, and I out of any woman that I've ever talked to, she is by far the most feminine woman that I've ever met, and it's been absolutely fantastic with that. And like I said, just feminine women in general. All men like to be around feminine women. It's just more of like a nurturing and caring feeling, whether it's in a relationship or whether it's not. It's very delightful. I'll say that to say the very least, right? But like I said, if you guys have any questions regarding anything that we're talking about, make sure you go and leave them in the comments. If we're gonna get into the topic, just give me 1 second. Like also, if you're in the chat, make sure you go and let me know, whether it's in the Twitch chat or in the YouTube chat. Make sure you go and tap in. Appreciate it. So getting into it, I want to say this first thing before I actually get into the actual topic. This is something that I've observed, and I want to know your take on this as well, right? The first point I want to mention is this: femininity can only be fully embraced in the presence of a masculine man who's well structured. What do you think about that? When I say that, what comes to your mind?
That is true. Because it's very easy for.
Okay.
If a man's not fully masculine, then the feminine energy from a woman's not going to feel safe enough to fully come out.
Okay. I would agree with that. So I feel like there's like it's kind of two parts as well, right? And the reason why women struggle with being feminine and Dubs, I appreciate it, KJ, appreciate it, man. Two of the reasons why I think women struggle with being feminine is one, they can't find a quality masculine man truly, and they truly are they feel socially outcasted if they are feeling or if they are feminine. This is something that I've seen. I don't know if you've particularly seen that where I feel like it's cool to women right now to be masculine. What do you think about that?
That could, a lot of feminine women aren't praised, like you said.
You don't think they're praised?
No.
Why do you think they're not praised?
I think feminine energy is more an internal thing, so it's kind of harder to see how valuable it is.
Okay.
So no woman's gonna want to act away if they're not getting any attention or praise from it.
Okay. All right, I have a question for you, and I feel like a lot of people, especially a lot of women that watch this, will ask this question. And coming from you, I think your answer is going to be very, very sound. So, the question that I have for you is, what is some practical advice that you'd give to a woman who's seeking to try to be more feminine? So let's just say it's coming from a woman who's maybe a little bit more naturally masculine. When it comes to those type of women, and hopefully, if you're watching this and you're a masculine woman, hopefully you're trying to seek to become more feminine. But for those women in specific, what is some practical advice that you can give them so they can try to maybe tap back into their feminine energy?
Most masculine women are masculine because of past experiences.
Okay.
So probably the most important thing to do is take time to heal and understand that not all men are going to hurt you.
Okay. Yeah, you definitely got to be wary though. I've talked to a lot of women where they said that, especially about femininity, this is a topic that I discuss very, very thoroughly with, whether it's even friends, whether it's family. I love just discussing that topic in general, and yeah, unfortunately, they're not able to truly embrace that because of the past traumas that they've had that you mentioned, right? They haven't healed from truly, and how would you even go about healing to the point where you can be feminine again? Is this just like accepting the fact that there's obviously a lack of quality men, or is there what do you think with that specifically?
Probably understanding that when you are hurt, it doesn't really have anything to do with yourself. A man only treats women bad because he has issues with himself in some way. And the more you heal and become higher quality, the more higher quality men you'll be able to attract.
I would definitely agree with that. For sure. Yeah, and like you said, if you want quality, you must be quality. That's for sure. That's for sure. All right. Like I said, if you guys have any specific comments regarding today's topic, I know you guys probably have some questions regarding this, right? Especially like I said, if you're a woman watching this, man, you better be in the comments. You better be in the comments asking questions because it's scarce right now. Femininity is so scarce right now, unfortunately. Um, but I know we've kind of already answered this, but I want to see if you can come up with maybe a little bit more of an answer to this specific question. Why do you think most people or most women struggle with being feminine nowadays? I know we kind of already touched that topic, but besides the fact that um, them not having a man or them needing to heal, do you think there's any other element that we haven't yet mentioned?
They're too focused on competing with men and trying to prove that they can either be better or that they can do what a man can do. So they kind of lose focus on what's important about being a woman.
Interesting, interesting. What's important about being a woman? Now, you saying that would be very, very controversial today. And what do you think about that? What do you a lot of the takes that you have, which I'll read off one of her takes that she recently had. They could be viewed as very, very controversial. But what do you say to those women that kind of will maybe bash a woman that has those point of views?
Can you ask that again?
Okay, so to the women who would like let's just say you had this take, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a lot of women who would disagree with you and who would be combative and argumentative about it, right? That would disagree. Do you think they have like anything that they lack? Like, do they have like a lack of understanding of femininity, or maybe they don't? Maybe they're right. What do you think about that?
I feel like a lot of women who even compete with men, they just, and for some reason, I mean, in some ways I understand, but they just feel like women are put at a lower level than men these days.
So you think do you think that's like an actual reality, or you think that's just like a conceptualized thought?
Nowadays, I don't think women are really lower than men. Maybe back then, yes, because we didn't have the rights we do now.
Okay, so you would say it's a thought. It's not an actual reality.
Yeah.
Interesting, interesting. KJ had a question for you. What do you look for in a man?
Physically and emotionally.
Yeah, physically and emotion, or physically and mentally. Yeah,
Oh, I can't read that far.
it's okay.
Physically, honestly, now that's changed a lot. I want someone that does go to the gym.
Okay, fair. With good reason. With good reason, of course.
I'm not trying to be stronger than a man.
With good reason.
Mentally, I want someone who makes me feel safe, makes me feel safe enough to express myself.
Okay.
What else?
And financially.
Financially,
Do you think that's like a when it comes to deciding whether a man is worthy of your time or not? Do you think financially, as of right now, do you think that's like a super relevant thing?
I'm only 19, so no.
Okay, fair enough. There you go. There you go. Like I said, keep the questions coming, KJ. Appreciate it, man. Um, yeah, I'm gonna ask you this question, and I know you might struggle to answer this, but nonetheless, this question needs to be asked. Why do you think femininity, or at least I'm gonna give my point of view first of all, right? So the reason why I wanted to make this podcast, and the reason why I feel it's necessary to make these types of podcasts, is because femininity is something that should be embraced within society, and unfortunately, it isn't. And with that being said, I feel like it's being neglected to the point where people and what people women view it as weak. Men never view this as weak, by the way. And I feel like women should a lot of women should take that type of paradigm that men have, right? I've never even talked to a man who's talked about femininity in a negative light. And I feel like any people that talk about femininity in a negative light, they're typically women. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So with that being said, why do you think society or females right now have such a weak view of femininity?
I think it has to do more with the submission part of it.
Submission part, okay. So what about it? What about that specifically?
I feel like it has to do with the toxic masculinity.
Toxic masculine, okay, what do
Men
you mean?
are using that to be controlling and saying it's them being masculine. So when a woman sees another woman that's feminine, they probably think that that's them saying that they're okay with being controlled by a man.
Interesting, interesting. And one thing I want to mention as well, which is super super prevalent within society, is I do believe that after you have a few men that are truly not of good quality, women are automatically put in the defensive mode, and like you had mentioned, right? They need to be comfortable to truly be in that feminine energy. And with that being said, I feel like those same type of women have a very very hard time differentiating between an actual good leader and a controlling man, right?
Hmm.
Those are obviously huge differences, but what do you think are some of the differences and subtle signs that can kind of signal whether a man is of high quality, or is a good leader, or as opposed to being a man who's controlling?
I think an actual masculine man, you'll be able to notice because he'll be more gentle and like
Interesting. Okay.
patient with you.
Okay.
That's really all I got right now.
Okay. Okay. So more gentle and more patient. What would be some subtle signs that a man is potentially controlling? Because like I said, women, they conflate those two things. That's why I wanted to mention it, because I've seen a lot of women where, let's just say there is a good man that comes to them, they fumble the good man because they truly have this perception that all men are trying to control them. So what would be some subtle signs of a man that is controlling, that would be maybe a red flag for a woman that's trying to find a man that's a good leader?
Maybe if whenever you express yourself to him, he'll probably say, "Oh, that's you arguing." Um,
Okay.
I don't have experience with men. I really have no idea what it's like to have a controlling man.
Well, that's very good. That's very good. Unfortunately, that's not a common thing nowadays. But I'm glad that you've had only positive experiences with men.
I wouldn't say that, but
Okay, well, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. I got a comment. Some women confuse their confidence for not needing a man and or not wanting to seem weak if they are kind. Okay. So yeah. So there's going to be a clear difference between a woman being confident within herself, um, and truly not needing a man, right? I feel like that's something that I think women need to truly evaluate as well, is because there is a clear difference. Yeah, you don't need to. Your confidence doesn't need to stem from the fact that you don't need a man, right? And I feel like even this notion of even saying that, like I said, it's just one of the goofiest things that I've ever experienced in my whole life. Like, because the question that I've always asked myself, and I don't know if you've asked yourself this question, is how do you truly have the most fulfillment in your life, right? And that is a question I've always asked myself, and a question that I will continue to ask myself for the rest of my life. And with that being said, when I hear anybody, whether it's a man or a woman, that is neglecting things that truly would give them the fulfillment that they truly should want in life, I automatically have 1,000 questions based off of that. And yeah, the perfect example of that is a woman saying, "I don't need a man." What do you say to those women that say, "I don't need a man"?
again, it has to do with past experiences. They're just let down too much, and so they'd rather not have to put themselves in that position again to be let down.
Okay. So do you think it's best to be do you think it's best to completely feel something, or do you think it's best to be defensive? Be defensive straight out the gate. Obviously, like you had mentioned, right? You don't have that much experience, but with that being said, to the women that have had those negative experiences, would you say? Obviously, you would say probably, make sure you vet for a good man. But with that being said, to avoid pain, do you think they should have that wall up?
No,
Interesting. Why is that?
I feel like you still have to be open if you're gonna get into a new thing with a new man. Because if you're defensive right off the start, then you're one putting that negative energy out there, and you're kind of self sabotaging it in a way.
Okay. Okay. So okay. So that's a good point right there. So automatically, oh my god, automatically you'd be self sabotaging. That's crazy. Yeah, that is what it is though. Yeah, and I see a lot of women do that. I see a lot of women do that. Like I said, if you have a good quality man and you're automatically on the defensive, it's gonna completely turn him off. And the way that I can speak about that is because of my own past dating experiences. I would say I know how to handle myself within an interaction with a woman. And with that being said, the fact that I've even came across women who had that defensive wall up, I'm like, wow, like I'm immediately turned off instantly, because it's just something that's not particularly ideal to the interaction, especially the start of an interaction. You're already starting off on the wrong foot, in my opinion. Men can come off as controlling when they limit your finances, friends, phone, etc. Those need to be respected, of course. And I feel like it's very, very blurry, grayish type of, I would say, area. I would say with that because that's why I say it's kind of hard to differentiate between a man that is controlling and a man that truly has good intentions for you. Um, so, like for example, I'll give you one example that I've had within my past dating experiences that somebody had viewed as controlling. Right? I told the woman, hey, um, I'm not a huge fan of you dressing the way that you do. You're gonna get a lot of unneeded and unwanted attention, and I don't think that's really conducive to you being the person that you want to be and people viewing you as the person that you want them to view you as. And she had a very, very negative reaction. She thought I was being controlling because I said, hey, you probably shouldn't wear that because people will look at you like you're a piece of meat. What do you think about that?
This is a genuine question. Does she really think it's controlling, or does she say it's controlling because other people say it's controlling?
That's a good question. That is a good question. And I would say the second. I would say the second for damn sure because it's so common. You see it so often. And unfortunately, you see more women talking negative about men than you do positive. And you could technically say the same for men. I would say I do see more men talking negative about women than positive. And this is specifically why I wanted to make a podcast like this because there's so much positives to women that I feel like a lot of men are not expressing as much as they should. They're not giving them the reinforcement that women truly need. Because if you see more men talking about women in a positive light, I think more women would inversely talk about men in a positive light. So what do you think about that? Do you think that would be true?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's it? That's all you got? Okay.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay, fair enough. All right, I'm going to ask you one more question. This is a very, very good question, something that I've spent a lot of time thinking about. And here's a question right here. Do you think there's enough feminine women in positions of influence?
No.
Why is that?
I'm sure there are some women who are, but
Okay.
I feel like most of them are encouraging women to be more independent. So encouraging them to pursue good careers so that they wouldn't have to rely on a man.
Okay, for sure, for sure. And you wouldn't think that's not a great like long-term strategy, would you say?
No, because women need men and men need women.
Canceled just for that. Canceled just for that. That's crazy. That's crazy. And yeah, I would definitely have to agree with you for sure, right? I definitely don't think that there's enough positive women, or not positive women. There's enough women who are truly feminine in a position of influence, and I feel like even the notion you'll see this like I see this time and time again with women. They're like, oh yeah, I look up to strong women, and then you ask them, hey, what is a strong woman? And they start naming characteristics of a man. And hey, that's what it is. Like I said, do you disagree with that?
No.
Okay, fair enough. All right. But yeah, I would say, yeah, unfortunately, there's just going to be super career-oriented women within positions of influence right now. So maybe, like I said, if I could even like name some, maybe like the Kim K's of the world. I don't know. Do you know any like women that have a high influence that truly do not do it in a feminine way? Is there any that can come to your mind that some women view as a good influence?
None are coming to the top of my head.
Exactly my point. That's why it's a problem, fellas. That's why it's a problem. And yeah, like I said, I truly do not see enough. And hopefully, this is something that I wish for, and this is something that I've seen, and I'm sure everybody watching this has seen as of recently. You're seeing a lot more men speak positively about men, and I hope very, very soon you're gonna see the same type of movement for women. I don't know who's going to be the leader of that, but what I will say though is if there's a person that's even remotely close to the level of positive influence that men have and role models that men have, women will be in a good position. But I think if we keep going and the biggest role models for women are masculine women, society's really not going to be in a good position at all. I would say that for sure. Do you disagree with that? Do you agree with that? What do you think about that?
Definitely agree with that.
Definitely agree with that. That's why you're on the podcast. You got to be one of those women that are going to be a positive influence. Instead of talking about, I don't need a man. All men are shit. Like, no, what? Ridiculous. I'm gonna ask you another question, and it's gonna be kind of similar to a question that I asked you before, but I think you could potentially give me a different answer. What do you think is a big misconception that women get wrong about femininity?
This one I thought about today. I feel like women think being feminine is more of a physical thing, like
What do you mean by that?
wearing dresses, doing your makeup, just being a girly girl.
Okay.
But being feminine is mostly an internal thing.
Okay. So like if you could describe like that internal feeling, what does that look like? I know we kind of already mentioned some of the characteristics of
That's what I meant
femininity,
by
but
internal.
okay.
Being the supportive, emotional, empathetic, all that stuff.
Okay. Would you say one of those elements would also be something along the lines of being intuitive?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you view yourself as an intuitive person?
I'm an overthinker, so
Okay, fair enough. What I will say though is with my experience with Jayden, I would say she's surprisingly one of the most intuitive people that I've ever met in my whole life. Like she'll
seriously.
think things that I'm thinking about, and it literally makes no sense. Like she'll question things that I'm thinking about, and I'm like, you literally have an insight that I've never seen in any other person.
When the heck have I done this?
What?
When have I done this?
I would say the most recent event, maybe like a few months ago, I'd say. But yeah, it's insane. I do believe that's going to be an element of women that are feminine. Um, through the women that I've met, the ones who are the most feminine were the ones who are the most intuitive. They have inclinations that they're feeling that they don't exactly know why they're feeling. And maybe I'm potentially thinking about it, maybe I'm not. And I just feel like I find it very very interesting because people can be tapped in and not even know it. And I think that's incredible. It's a superpower that I wish I had. I think I have it to an extent, but I've definitely seen it more prevalent within the most feminine women that I've ever talked to. For sure, for sure. Give me 1 second. Yeah, another point that I want to mention, and like I said, it's going to be kind of referring to something that I mentioned earlier, but I think women get more social validation from being masculine, as opposed to being feminine, and yeah, feminine women truly do not get enough praise, and they get slander. Have you seen any slander on women that are being feminine or trying to be feminine? I won't say trying to
No,
be. They're being feminine.
not that I've seen on my social media.
Really, I've seen that time and time again. Well, you've heard of the term like the pick me girl, right?
Yeah,
I would say that's semi slander to feminine women. Obviously, the pick me's are a thing on their own. But what do you think about those women in specific, or maybe those are like slightly different than feminine women? What do you say?
the pick me girls.
Yeah. What do you think?
Pick me girls are women who purposely do things for a man's attention. That's usually putting their friends down, or I don't know.
Okay, okay. So there's a clear difference between a feminine woman and a woman who's a pick me. Would you say?
Yeah.
Okay, for sure, for sure. All right. Another question that I have for you, and this is going to be a very interesting question, and maybe hopefully it's a question that we haven't exactly answered yet. This question is going to be, how do you think that I've helped you become the best version of your feminine self? Because I've known you for a little bit now, and I think that I've hopefully helped you out.
It's something I said before. You're very patient.
Okay.
You're gentle.
Okay.
You, whenever I have trouble expressing myself, you kind of give me time to think about what I'm trying to say, or you help me figure out what I'm trying to say.
Okay. Okay. Um, do you think I've helped you? Because, like I said, this is something that I discuss with literally all women that I've ever talked to. Um, do you think I've helped you like think about certain things a different way when it comes to femininity, as opposed to, I obviously when I met you, you were in nature feminine, but you didn't. I won't say you didn't know it.
I didn't know it.
Oh shit. Well, she didn't know
I
it. I
thought
guess.
this was just how I am.
Okay. With that being said, with me explaining these things to you, do you think I've like clarified specifically what femininity actually looks like and feels like to you?
Yeah. I feel like I almost fell into the trap of people viewing masculine and feminine energy in a bad way.
What do you mean?
Just like I'd always see like TikToks of people putting down that masculine energy
Okay.
and seeing it as toxic. I almost fell into that trap until you kind of explained what it really is.
So you almost fell into the trap, the society's trap.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Um, that's very interesting actually.
But I didn't because I just skipped the videos.
There you go. That's so interesting. Yeah, that is a trap. Realistically, that is what it is though, right? Um, yeah, I'm really ain't got nothing to say besides, hey, it's a trap. All right, so I'm getting back into it, right? So I seen a point that you made recently that is semi controversial to the women nowadays, and I want to get your take, and hopefully you can get a little bit more deeper into that. So recently on Threads, Jayden said, "I don't understand women who don't want to be married and or have kids. The ones who don't absolutely love being feminine, being able to love, support, cook, clean, and just be able to take care of someone always brings me the most happiness. How are you satisfied with life as a woman when you aren't doing that?" Like I said, just saying that in general get you canceled. So I want you to get a little bit more in depth with that because I definitely do see kind of your vision for that. But why do you think women would even oppose that in general?
I honestly don't remember what my reason was for posting that. I don't know what I was thinking about at the time.
Okay.
But for me,
Okay.
my biggest goal isn't having a successful career. My biggest goal is having a healthy marriage
Okay.
and a happy family.
Okay.
So I think that's why I find more happiness being able to take care of someone else.
Okay. Okay. That's interesting. Would you say I would say that's a very very um, selfless point of view to have because and I feel like with that being said, if that's selfless, which is something that I would say is essential for men, for the masculine and the feminine, the divine masculine and the divine feminine, they both need to be very selfless, right? The masculine does it in its own specific way, obviously with providing and protecting for his loved ones, of course. But the woman or the feminine energy is also going to do that same exact thing by not putting themselves first. And I believe the masculine energy at times has to put itself first. Um, I would say early on, but obviously once the masculine energy starts creating a family, I do believe that it becomes everything's for the family, right? At the end of the day, I would agree with that for sure. Um, but yeah, like I said, that's interesting though, because with that being said, if that's a very very selfless point of view, the inverse of that is being selfish. Do you think women nowadays are very very selfish, or do you think they're very selfless?
The ones who don't want kids and don't want a marriage. I don't know. I wouldn't say they're selfish.
They're selfish.
You think so?
I know so. I know so. The reason, okay, I'll explain. I'll explain. The reason why I think they're very, very selfish is because I don't think they truly have their priorities straight. I don't think they truly know exactly what brings fulfillment in their life. And I think the most fulfillment in life comes when you're going to be the most selfless, right? When you're not thinking, when you're not your main priority, and I do believe there's going to be periods in your life where you're going to need to be your main priority, like you'd mentioned, in the times that you need to heal. That's going to be something that you need to prioritize for yourself. So there's going to be phases in life, whether it's the masculine or whether it's the feminine, where you're going to need to prioritize yourself and only yourself. But I do believe that if in order to live the best life you possibly can, you're going to need to be selfless. You're going to need to be selfless, and anything that combats that is being selfish for sure. So, with that being said, do you think they're being selfish?
I guess.
I guess. Okay. So why do you say that?
I mean, there's nothing wrong with wanting to have a career for yourself, to do something.
Okay.
But I guess it is selfish to not want to have a family.
Selfish. Okay.
Because if you raise your kids right, in some way you are making the world better.
I would agree. I would definitely agree with that. She don't want to get canceled, fellas. It's okay. It's okay. Like I said, if you guys have any questions or comments regarding today's topic, make sure you go and leave them in the comments. I'm going to be checking the comments right now here in a minute. Slacking. KJ slacking. Come on now. They're mesmerized by you, apparently. They're mesmerized by you. Also, one thing I want to say as well, which I haven't mentioned yet, is if y'all start simping in the chat, I'm kicking you out, bro. Straight up. I did mention that already. But if you're simping in the chat, hey, you're getting up out of here, man. You're getting up out of here. All right. Getting into the next thing that I wanted to go ahead and discuss. This is going to be a very interesting topic, and I do believe that everybody needs to hear this truly. So, whether you're a man or a woman watching this, I do believe that you need to hear this. I heard this from Jordan Peterson. If you know who Jordan Peterson is, hopefully you respect him because he's a man worth respecting. With that being said, I do believe that the fundamental issues that society has, whether it's, men not being masculine or women not being feminine or not knowing how to be feminine or not wanting to be feminine, I do believe it all comes back down to the family life that you've had, right? I feel like the lack of structure and the lack of having the masculine and feminine in your life, which is supposed to be, which is supposed to be your father and your mother, right? Obviously, right? If you do not have one of these things, you're going to be having a missing essential paradigm to the world. So therefore, you're going to either try to supplement that or you don't supplement that at all, and then you end up with women who hate men. Maybe they grew up with a single mother, and we all know the studies will even prove this and back it up, that the most ideal parenting is definitely going to be with a man and a woman. The second greatest is going to be single fathers, believe it or not, over single mothers, right? That's just what it is. Statistically speaking, single fathers do better than single mothers, right? Not to say that there's not to say that there's not great women who were able to support and provide for their children, but at the end of the day, that's not. I don't think that's what women want to do. I think that's what women have to do, and unfortunately, a lot more women have to do that than I would like. Would you agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we're going back to what I was saying, right? If you're a person that is lacking, like I said, lacking that masculine energy or lacking that feminine energy within your childhood, and seeing those ideals, or rather not seeing those ideals, I do believe it can ruin your perception when it comes to dating. It'll ruin your perception when it comes to things that you can view or potentially could view within society. I do believe it can lead to a bunch of different flaws. And if you're a person watching this that truly sees that missing gap, I do believe that is your responsibility to go ahead and supplement that. Because if you don't, then you're going to have repercussions in your life that would suggest that you're not doing the right thing for yourself. And with that being said, that is something that I personally had to do. I did not particularly grow up with the ideal masculine. Um, and I would say no one truly showed me how to be a man. So therefore, I had to learn it for myself. I had to research that myself. I had to supplement that for myself. And with that being said, whether you're a woman watching this or a man watching this, if you're not as masculine as you need to be, or if you're not as feminine as you should be, that is going to be your responsibility to go ahead and learn what you need to learn. And like I said, watching this podcast, hopefully this is at least steering you in the right direction. Um, but I have an interesting question for you, right? The question that I have for you is this: Why are you so feminine though?
We talked about this the other day.
Okay,
I have two reasons.
two reasons. Okay,
So the first one, growing up, I grew up with four boys, so I was doing more boy things than girl things.
okay,
And then all the females in my family are in their masculine because they're single mothers. But the reason I feel like I was never masculine was because, one, I never felt unsafe by that energy.
okay.
So my feminine never had to be protected.
Or it was protected rather.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then also I feel like God gave me the ability to be able to see that the way my family wasn't really the right way for a woman to be. And then the second reason why I think am feminine is because I don't have a lot of experience with relationships. I haven't had enough times of being hurt to have to kind of hide away my feminine side.
Okay, so you're a little bit more embracing as opposed to being on the defensive, like we had mentioned. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting for sure. So, well, that definitely is gonna help. And here's the thing: people are gonna become different in different ways, right? She could have obviously been way more masculine, right?
That's all I knew, basically.
Yeah, that's something that's very very interesting, and it's almost like the example of two boys that grow up with a drunk as a father, right? You have one boy that says I never want to drink alcohol all the time, and you have the other one that says I want to be exactly like my father, and becomes a drunk himself, right? And you were in that same predicament as well. You had two choices, and obviously you chose the right one in my opinion, right? You could have obviously grew up very very masculine. You're around that all the time. You could have been a lot more competitive. You could have been a lot more argumentative, but you took the complete opposite route in saying, hey, there's something that is truly missing, and you felt the need to be that, and therefore you are that, right? Okay, KJ has a question. In Jayden's perspective, would you okay? Read it. I know the heart's in the way. I can't believe it's in the way.
Do you want me to read it out loud?
Yeah, read it out loud. Here it is right here.
I can't even read that far.
You want to read it?
In Jayden's perspective, would a woman rather see a man focus on them a lot of the time, or a man focus on his grind? I know when I was younger, I would rather the man focus on me.
Okay.
But then as I got older and once I met you, I kind of understood why a man should focus on his career and what he wants to do. Because as a provider, you really need to have that in check. You need to have a successful career to properly be able to provide for your family.
Okay, so like I said, there's gonna be moments of I would say selfishness, but understanding how the priority goes, and to answer that, obviously I'm gonna repeat some of the things that she had mentioned. Yeah, I do believe that if you're a man watching this right now, you should not be focused on women being your first priority, and if you do, you'll shortly realize that is going to be a very, very fruitless existence, especially if you don't have your purpose as your main thing, right? In my own personal life, my purpose of inspiring, empowering, and educating others, that is going to be my main thing. And if I'm not doing that, there's no way I can be the best version for myself for a woman ever, right? That is the main priority, right? And no woman's going to want a man who's putting them first above everything else. I'm going to say that. And that might be a little bit controversial to say that, and there's probably going to be women that disagree with that. But if you truly understand the attraction dynamics, and you truly understand what is needed for fulfillment in life, the man's gonna have to prioritize his career more than the relationship. And like I said, not that's something that's not exactly super flattering to hear, but nonetheless, it is something that is going to be a reality of life. And yeah, I'm not to say, like I said, families. I would say prioritize above everything, but in order to truly prioritize them above everything, you must put your career first. And then truly family could be in the front.
Yeah, short term that might seem selfish, but long term that's honestly selfless.
I would agree. I would definitely agree with that for sure. But yeah, like I said, fellas, you already know what time it is, man. You already know what time it is. You better focus on your grind and make sure you have your priorities in check, because if you don't, like I said, the woman's not gonna truly be able to be in her feminine if you do not have any structure. If you have no structure, if you have no purpose, if you have no goals for life, there's no way she's going to be able to be feminine, because why would any woman want to submit to a man that truly isn't a man? I'll say that. What do you think about that?
That's true.
That is true.
Yeah.
It is true. All right, give me 1 second. Like I said, if you guys have any questions or comments regarding today's podcast, make sure you want to leave in the comments. Like I mentioned, if you guys start simping, we'll get your ass up out of here quick. KJ, if you see any simps in the chat, simps in the chat, man, make sure you kick them out, man. No simping around here, man. See, here's the thing. Like I hear a lot of people being quiet. Well, hopefully you're holding your simp tendencies back at least. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Talking about question marks. Come on, man. You gotta have a better name than Monkey, man. Come on now. All right, I want to get your take on this right here. This right here. Go ahead.
The feminine energy is very fragile. While a part of masculinity is protection, you can't protect yourself when you're feminine as well as you can if you're masculine.
Okay. So what do you think about that?
I mean, I wrote it, so it's true. A part of being masculine is protection. So when you're feminine, you're more vulnerable.
Okay.
Because you're more emotional. You're using your heart more than, I guess, your brain. So it's easier for the feminine side to get damaged than the masculine.
That's interesting. That is interesting. I would definitely have to agree with that for sure. And if you don't have that, it's definitely going to be hard to be feminine. I'm not going to say it's impossible. You could be truly feminine within nature, but it's gonna be a little bit difficult. I'd say it's definitely a lot more difficult to be feminine when you don't have that masculine energy around, for sure. Because then you're kind of, like I said, you're kind of already built on defensive mode. So therefore, you're going to need to provide and protect for yourself But yeah, I would say obviously the man's obviously going to function the best when he has a woman, and the woman's obviously going to function best when she has a man. That's what it comes down to. And I'm sure you agree with that.
Yeah, there's a reason there's two genders.
What'd you say? Whoa, 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 whoa.
There's a
whoa.
reason there's two genders.
That's crazy. That's
'Cause
crazy.
we need each other equally.
Okay.
If we didn't need both, there would only be one gender.
There you go, fellas. There you go. Canceled right there. Why you trying to get me canceled out here?
I'm the one that said it. You're okay.
Okay. Fine. Give me 1 second. All right, let's talk about this point. What do you got for that?
We basically already talked about that. The correct feminine energy is someone who's submissive. She's caring, she's nurturing, she's very supportive of either her man, family, whatever.
Okay.
She's more emotional. And then the way that it's being taught today, or I guess put down, is that being feminine means you're okay with being controlled, you're weak, and you're not able to really take care of yourself.
Okay, so you think that those are going to be like the vulnerabilities of femininity that I would say most women truly associate femininity with right now. Like right now in today's society, they have this this negative perception of femininity, and that's pretty much what they see, right? That wrong version of femininity.
Mm-hmm.
Like you had mentioned, the weak, the being, it's okay being controlled, and like you'd mentioned, not taking care of themselves, or yeah, I would say that sounds about right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's unfortunate reality that that women have a view, they view femininity very, very weak. I've been listening to this the whole time, and y'all really did a good job on this podcast. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. All right. Yeah, we pretty much said everything that we need to say for today's podcast. If you guys have any questions or comments regarding anything that we'd mentioned on today's podcast, make sure to go and leave in the comments. But nonetheless, just give us 1 second and we'll wait for some comments to roll in, and then we'll go ahead and end it off. But I appreciate everyone's contribution. KJ, of course, I appreciate your questions. About it like monkeys, he said. Okay, that's cool, man. Oh, why are you laughing?
Monkeys are cute. I'm just saying it's cool.
Monkeys are cute. Yes, that is a misconception. I would definitely agree. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I feel like mentioning. Yeah, we actually did talk about a lot of the things that I've mentioned in my previous podcast when it comes to femininity. So if you guys want to know a little bit more in depth about femininity from my own personal perspective, make sure you go ahead and tap in with. I've made like 3 podcasts on this actually. I did a masculine and feminine dynamic. I've done divine femininity dynamic as well, or not dynamic, but a divine femininity podcast as well. You mean Jayden? Your comments are so on point. On point. What do you think about that?
Thank you.
Shout out to grandma. Come on now. Tapping in. But like I said, I appreciate all you guys' comments. Like I said, if you guys have any last second questions, whether it's for me or for her, make sure you let me know. Y'all slacking today, fellas. Y'all slacking today, man. Come on now. It's okay. I know what you meant. You're hating now. Yeah, there you go. All right. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else I feel like mentioning when it comes to this that I think is absolutely essential? I'm gonna say this point right here. I haven't said this yet, but it's kind of referring to what you had mentioned. Women wanted to compete with men so much to the point where they forgot to be women, right? And I feel like if you're a woman watching this, don't forget that there's utility in being a woman and being feminine. Don't be fooled by society, and don't let society's trap get you with having this perception that femininity is weak, that masculine women are truly an ideal to strive for, when in reality they're not. It is one of the biggest misconceptions that is within society today, that that women don't need a man, that women should be career oriented, and I do believe there's going to be certain periods of time, like I had mentioned, where you might need to be. But at the end of the day, I do believe, and I want to know your take on this as well. Women should be prioritizing. I know you actually already agreed with this. Women should be prioritizing their career just as much as they should be prioritizing their relationship. What do you think about that?
I feel like a relationship should be a little more important.
So you believe a relationship should be a little bit more important than a woman's career?
If you want to have a healthy family, you have to put your kids first. your marriage first. Can't really do that if you're focused on work.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that. That's crazy. Oh my God, that's crazy. Did you force her or did she want to do it? That's crazy. Okay, go ahead and answer that.
I'm the one that asked.
She's the one who asked. Come on now, fellas. Come on now. Come on. This ain't a game out here, man. Trying to put me in a bad light. Come on now. But yeah, I definitely did not force her. That'd be ridiculous. I don't force nobody to be on the podcast. If you want to be on the podcast, let me know. Obviously, if you're in person, right? But yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, exactly. Go ahead and apologize. Come on now. But yeah, I appreciate everyone's comments. Like I said, if today's topic helped you out in any specific way, whether it informed you on something, definitely leave a like. And if you're rewatching this, make sure you want to leave a comment if you have any questions or if you have any points that you think really resonated with you. Definitely leave it in the comments for sure. Is there anything you want to say before we go and end it off?
It's okay to want a man. It's okay to need to have a man in your life. What was I going to say? I just lost my thought.
It's okay. You get it back.
Masculine and feminine energy are very different, but that does not make one more important than the other. They're both equally as important.
I would agree. I would definitely agree. That is true. One's not more important than the other. And and one thing I want to mention as well, I gotta mention this. You gotta know when to be feminine, and you gotta know when to be masculine as a woman, right? And I do believe that there's going to be a clear difference. There's going to be a clear difference between you needing to be feminine or needing to be masculine. So I'll give you an example. If you're a woman right now watching this and you have a career that you're pursuing and you also have a man as well, you need to know when to be masculine. You need to be masculine truly only in the workplace. You come home and you need to put that. You need to leave that. You need to leave that in the car, right, or leave that at work. There's no way you can be masculine. There's no way you should be masculine within your career and also come home and be masculine, because like I had mentioned before, right? No man's gonna want a masculine woman unless he's feminine. He's a feminine man, right? But if we're speaking in general terms, obviously more men are gonna be masculine. And with that being said, those men are gonna want women who are gonna be more feminine. And I feel like women think it's okay to put on this actual front, and they're not being true to self. And that's something that I see also very, very prevalent within today's society is they want like I said, they want to fit in, so they're going to become masculine. I've met women who are truly in nature feminine, but they've been so socially programmed that they try to reject it. They have these natural inclinations to want to have children and things like that, but it's not cool. It's not cool. It's not socially popular. So therefore they suppress that side of themselves just to fit in. And I think it's an absolutely tragic thing. And I do believe that if women were a little bit more honest with themselves, and hopefully moving on from here, women are going to be a little bit more honest with themselves of the things that they want. Like you had mentioned, it's okay to need a man. It's okay to feel the need to want a man, right? And instead of having this ridiculous paradigm, for sure. Glad to see a female on here like the different dynamic. I appreciate it. But other than that, is there anything else you want to say or anything you want to cover before we go and end it off?
Since women follow trends, we might as well make being feminine a trend.
Right. Hey, there you go. Hey, women do follow trends. Yeah, that's a good point right there. That's a good point. Yeah, it just needs to get trending again. If it gets trending again, hey, we're gonna be in a good position, fellas. We're gonna be in a good position for sure. But all right, you're bored. Fine, that's fine. All right, we're gonna go ahead and end it off. I appreciate everyone stopping by. Like I said, make sure you go ahead and leave a like if you did enjoy it. Make sure you go to subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And one thing I want to mention as well, if you can't catch a full podcast but still want to get the game that I'll be spitting, I do post YouTube shorts. So make sure you go ahead and follow me on TikTok, just Life of a Champ Podcast on TikTok, as well as like I had mentioned, make sure you leave a like on my YouTube shorts as well. And if you have a higher attention span than 60 seconds, make sure you go ahead and tap in with the YouTube clips as well. I'm posting those, and I'll be posting those a little bit more frequently. So look forward to that as well. Those are going to be typically from about 4 to 12 minutes long. So tap in with that for sure. But other than that, yeah, this was episode 141 of the Life of a Champ podcast, talking about femininity, what all men want, featuring this lovely guest right next to me, Jayden. I appreciate for stopping by on the podcast, and I appreciate you getting over your fear and coming on, regardless if you're a little anxious. I really do appreciate that for sure. Other than that, I'll leave you guys off with the podcast motto. You already know what time it is. Jayden, you want to go to say it?
No. I was thinking about it, but no.
All right. I got it. Fellas out here, man, we don't just work around here, man. We outwork. So make sure y'all working these motherfuckers because you know that we are. Come on now. You already know what time it is. Y'all have a good night. Tap in with the podcast on Thursday. I'll be also having a music podcast here, or a music live stream. So if you're interested in music, make sure you go ahead and stay tuned in for that as well. And other than that, like I'd mentioned, tap in with the podcast on Thursday. Should be a good one. And you guys have a good rest of your night. And make sure you stay positive as well. Like I said, make sure y'all work with these motherfuckers. You already know what time it is, man. Appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good night.